night standing by, and the forest marked the rivers. And if the mountains don't move, why the hell am I chasing the light? Maybe 'cause I miss you when you leave my side, and it's worth my aching mind. So we might not get forever. My mind keeps changing all the time. Something's changing in the world, but I'll hold you while you're mine. Yeah, I'll hold you while you're mine. Warm skin pressed on my shoulders in the morning. No way of knowing where we're going, but we've still got some time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. We're going to stand together and sing some songs, so if you want to stand, feel free to do so.
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Sin runs deep. Your grace is more, your grace is found, is where you are, where you are. Lord, I am free, holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you, oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my song to rise to you when temptation comes my way. When I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my one defense, my righteousness. Oh
give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Come down, fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing like great streams of mercy, never ceasing. Call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious song, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon it, Mount of thy unchanging love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. Bring me hope, oh divine painter, carried forth with precious love. Oh, the grace of great Creator. Daily I'm sustained in Thee. Let Thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to Thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for Thy courts above. Feel free to go ahead and have a seat. And I believe Carrie has some announcements for us now.
Hey everybody, can you hear me? Is that working? Hello? Hello? Okay, I can talk loud. Okay, all right. Can everybody hear me? If I just talk really loud? Okay, cool. I'll still talk into the mic and, oh, there we go. Okay. Well, welcome to the Commons. We're really happy that you're here with us this evening. If you're new or if you've been here a long time, welcome this Sunday. The Commons is a place where people from all different viewpoints and walks of life are welcome, so we're just really glad that you're here and would share your evening with us. We have a few important events coming up, so you might want to pull out your phone. I saw some QR codes on the slides, so you might want to have that ready to go. The first is we have a new app called Church Center, so join us on there. It's a really cool way to stay connected or get connected if you're new. There's places where you can set up secure giving, you can join different groups that are connected to the Commons, make sure that you're getting reminders for events, those kind of things. So definitely join us on Church Center if you haven't done that yet. You'll want to get connected on there. Also, I saw that there's going to be an online community group, so if you're watching the announcements from far away and you join us on YouTube, you'll want to definitely get connected on Church Center and stay tuned for that online community group. So that sounds really cool. Today, Charlie is kicking off a new series called Tell Me Something Good, and you can see on the screen we have like a stacked lineup for guest speakers, so you don't want to miss any of the Sundays coming up for this series. It's kind of based around the premise that Jesus' ministry was radical. Radical coming from, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I think it's radicalis, which means rooted. And so we're kind of focusing on the idea that the good news is going to bring us back to our roots this Lenten season, and ask the question, can we become good news people in a world overwhelmed by bad news? So definitely stay connected for all of these cool speakers that are going to be joining us for the next several weeks. It looks like it's going to be really, really good. Next Sunday, March 1st, after service, is a Scouts dinner. So this is a fundraiser for Scouts, and it'll be taking place in Reese Hall, just down the hallway. If you would like to stay after church and grab dinner, I think tickets are $10 for adults, $6 for kids, and that's a good way to support the Scouts. So come prepared for that. They take cash, check, and Venmo, so whatever works for you. And then March 28th is a Saturday, and that's going to be our Commons Community Celebration. This is a really cool event that's going to be taking place at Lowell Observatory, and it's an opportunity to support all of the efforts that take place here at the Commons, and also celebrate all the things that we're doing both in our community and beyond our community. So it's a good time to gather with people who are connected to the Commons, learn about some of the things that we're involved in if you're not aware, but also support those things too. It's from 5:30 to 7:30. And there will be food and drinks, and I'm sure there'll be a really cool program. The most important part of this announcement for tonight is that we are still finalizing those banquet details. So if you would like to be involved on the planning committee, or if you would like to host a table at the event, you can hang out after service, and we'll have a gathering also in Reese Hall down the hallway for that. So if you'd like more information about how to get involved for the Commons Community Celebration, hang out after church. And I think that's all I've got.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank all of you for being here today. I really do feel grateful that you would take time out of your Sunday and round up kids or pull yourself together or come here joyfully. However you got here, we're really, really glad you're here, and we hope you feel very, very welcome. We love and have always loved praying for other churches at this part of our service to unite our hearts in solidarity. That's a hard word. With a very diverse group of people around this town. So today we're going to pray for our siblings that meet at the Breath of Life Church. So if you're the praying type, join me and we're going to lift them up. God, we're so grateful for the largeness of your love. It's unconditional grace. We're grateful for the freedoms that we have to express our diverse faiths and connections, and we pray today thinking and holding dear in our hearts the Breath of Life Church. And just pray that they'll know that they are loved by you and by us, and I pray that they will share your light and good news with this community, and we thank you for them. And we pray today as we open up a new discussion and as we read a section of Matthew, would you open up our hearts and minds in Jesus' name, amen. Well, it's been a busy week. Springtime is in full springing. There's lots of sports and meetings and school and snowstorms, which we're thankful for. I have a weird house that our house still has like 9 inches of snow. We never see the sunlight. So my house will be buried in snow until May or June from this point on, but we're really grateful to get the moisture. I hope some of you are going up skiing. My kids tried to go skiing and got rejected the other day because there was too many people. They wouldn't let them shuttle up or anything. It was just like so packed out. We're so desperate for snow. So it's fun. It's good to have some on the ground, and then we got warm vibes coming our way. This week, we began, as you already saw on that slide, a new series on Lent. Now, some of you come from traditional liturgical backgrounds. Some of you do not. That's one of the things that I always celebrate about this wonderful community is how different all of your stories are, non-religious, religious. But we do like to tap into the liturgical calendar or some of the systems of the seasons that a lot of diverse Christians around the world experience, and especially 2 particular seasons that have to do with anticipating something. Every Christmas, we love the Advent season. We love to spend our time lighting candles and thinking ahead to this moment of incarnation or in the flesh, the embodiment of the divine and the human, and we like to prepare our hearts for that. But following ancient church tradition, we also like to follow the Lenten season. And some of you probably know, and maybe you got to experience an Ash Wednesday service this last Wednesday. That's the beginning of the Lent season. Now, this is not something that came from the earliest church. Some of Christian traditions don't just plop out of the sky or come directly out of the Bible, but they sort of evolve and emerge over time. And Lent was one of those things. What we read from the early church leaders, Irenaeus and Tertullian, is that people early on, when they started to prepare themselves for the Easter season, the celebration of resurrection or new hope or new life in the spring season, they started to fast for varying amounts of times. They would give up things. They would try to prepare their hearts. There was a very structured system within 200 years as Christianity began to kind of bloom. It was mostly led by Middle Eastern women as it expanded around the Mediterranean before it got patriarchal and tied to the Roman Empire. And there was this real natural movement of getting young people involved, and they would be baptized, and they would prepare their hearts before Easter, before they got baptized. And then by the 3rd century, a lot of Christians started to say we should take 40 days preparing ourselves for Easter. Now, one of the reasons I like this, even though sometimes I recoil at religious things and sometimes I connect to the divine through them, is I naturally don't anticipate things well in my older age. It was so natural to me as a kid. When I was a child, I anticipated everything. If I found out we were going to go skiing from Texas, I couldn't sleep for days. I was so excited. Or if I had a big sports event, I couldn't wait. I'd be so excited. But then when you get old and dead inside, you just don't care anymore. Life just happens to you and you don't look forward to it. In comes the church. It helps us to remember to prepare our hearts ahead of time, to think ahead to these markers, these things that are very human and also very connective that tie us to this story, to this narrative that we keep drawing together after 2,000 years. Lent comes from this Old English word, because I know you're just dying to know where this word comes from. Linctus, which actually means lengthening. It's actually where we get the word lengthen, because the days are lengthening in the spring. It's another synonym for springtime. And so in the English language, Lent is a reference to the longer days and the springtime anticipation of bloom and new life and all that the earth tells us through natural theology, which is really cool. What we're going to do is we're following, actually, as you saw, this good news theme through Lent. And I think this is really important. And I have something really fun today. You're not going to have to listen to a full sermon, so that's a good thing that you can let go of right now if you're stressing about that. But what I want to introduce this series as that's so important to me is a reclaiming of the idea of the word good news. And I am a word nerd. I love etymology and where words come from. And you've probably heard the word in religious circles, gospel. And it might be triggering to you. It might be connective to you. For me, I have flashbacks to gospel Christian albums that traumatize me. I have flashbacks to people using gospel to try to make me think I'm going to hell if I don't believe these certain things in the right way. In fact, for most of my life, the first 20, 30 years of my life, if someone asked me what the gospel was, I would be ready to explain to you these 4 points: that we're born in sin and we deserve to be separated from God, and that we need to be rescued somehow because we deserve eternal punishment. And the good news is that Jesus died in our place so that God the Father, who's angry at sin, could forgive us because his Son got abused to death, so then he'd be allowed to forgive us. And then if we believe that and receive that, we can commit our life and know that we're going to heaven. And the good news is we get to go to heaven when we die. And if you've been around here much at all, you know that I think it's a really important to me, passionate to talk about that is not the gospel. That's actually really bad theology. It doesn't come from the Jewish scriptures or the Christian scriptures. That's an evolution of Christian thought that really started in the 1300s with Anselm of Canterbury. No Christians ever thought that the gospel or the good news had anything to do with you believing you were evil or asking Jesus into your heart or escaping hell to go to heaven. None of those things are good news. In fact, it's bad news. I mean, that's one of the things that I really want to help people understand. If any of that's true, it's really bad news. If God is like that, that's really bad news. If God is going to burn most of humanity and punish them forever in hell, that's really bad news. If you have to be loved by a blood sacrifice, if violence is the only way that God can choose to love you, that's really bad news. And one of the things that makes me so passionate about calling this out is a need to almost defend a word like God or love. God is so much better than that. And the good news that echoes through time that might actually matter in our life has nothing to do with you believing the right things about an angry God. And it has everything to do about a movement of people in the first century who co-opted this word in a radical sense. Carrie already mentioned it, but this is a radical movement in the first century because they had an oppressive government. They had a Caesar, they had a king who thought he was God. He called himself the Son of God. And he had a propaganda message that he spread everywhere called evangelica in the Greek, and that means the good news. It means the gospel. This was not originally a Christian term. This was originally a political propaganda statement like the New Deal or Make America Great Again. It was Caesar's good news that through power, the Pax Romana, through violence, we will conquer the world and make your life better. It was filled with violence. It was wrong. It brought on the medieval times. It was terrible, but it was marketed as the good news. Enter a tiny group of mostly Middle Eastern women who had a different vision of what is actually good news. Good news that is nonviolence instead of violence. News that God is found in the children and in the margins and in the oppressed and in those that society does not recognize. And in that space, we will find the divine. I was listening to a Poetry Unbound episode with Marco. We were driving to a volleyball tournament yesterday. I don't know if you've ever listened to Poetry Unbound. It's an On Being podcast on Spotify. It's like Padre Gotuma, who's a really brilliant gay Irish priest who reads poems and then talks about them and reads them again. They're about 10 or 12 minutes each episode. But he was reading this poem yesterday as we were driving down listening to, and he talked about how the author said something that wasn't in the poem, and it stuck with me. He said something to the effect that spirituality is found in the very present physical world. And it isn't hidden in secrecy, but is evident in radiance. Spirituality isn't found in some other place. It's found in the physical space, and it's not hidden. It's not masked in secrecy. It's the love that you have when you touch your beloved and your child. It's what we naturally feel as the spring season comes upon us or rain upon our skin. The realness of our physical earth is where good news begins to sprout out, and it is completely egalitarian. It's equal. It's available to everyone, the poor, the rich, skin color, anything, gender, orientation, nothing limits. The good news of God is that God's love is bigger and more extreme than you can ever imagine. Here's the only verse I'm going to read to you before I close it down. I picked a short one because I was supposed to do Jesus talking about Jesus turning water into wine, but we did that recently, so I'm just going to read this little short section from this particular thing. This is found in Matthew chapter 13, verse 31. He says, he told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it's the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it's the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. This is a lesser-known parable or teaching of Jesus. It's short, it's simple. Because Christians are obsessive over 2,000 years, there has been much ink spilled trying to interpret what Jesus was talking about in this parable, and I in no way want to offer you any certainty about what Jesus was talking about, but I think all of Jesus' parables were art. I think all of them were something that we can look at and receive truth and bring truth and meaning to. But for the sake of this particular series, the idea of something small, the kingdom of heaven, becoming really large, today I want to focus on the idea in a world of overwhelming bad news, which is why I'm really excited about this series, that the good news is surprisingly good news. What seems like a small idea can be so much bigger than you ever possibly imagined. People who have lived on the margins, African women authors have often used seeds from Africa as an image of dying to something and growing. Jesus talked about seeds that die and grow into something bigger. On the Mexican-American border, there has been a re-emergence of this ancient Greek philosopher, Dinos Christianopoulos, who said they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And I think that is a really poetic, beautiful idea, especially when you're being oppressed, especially when it feels like there's no hope and there's only bad news. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about with this kingdom idea. And throughout this whole series, I want you to think about the word kingdom as kindom. Kin, like family, closeness, a way of being in the world where we belong to each other, we're community. And here's the difference between bad gospel ideas that I grew up with versus what the true source of Christianity is the bad ideas of gospel, the bad ideas of God and theology about escaping to heaven and being forgiven from this evil that you were born with, which almost none of that is true, is it's all about escaping. It's all about ignoring the pain of this world. And as we spend the next several weeks talking about good news that's better than we can possibly imagine, we're not going to do that by ignoring the pain and evil of war and suffering and violence and patriarchy and homophobia and anything that degrades, hurts, or causes suffering. We're not going to escape that. We're going to do what our ancestors did before us. We're going to lean into the hope that there is a good news in that darkness rooted in love. That's the seed that can explode into something really, really big. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to get to interview our friend David, who went to Minnesota. Some of you were here a few weeks ago when I told you about David Preeb, kind of going as a proxy for our church to go be in Minnesota in the midst of really horrifying ICE raids as we experienced trauma as a society, watching on our phones as we watched two beloved siblings gunned down by an authoritarian government. And David decided to go up to Minnesota. And so what I was thinking today is to just tell you about this Lent series, but not burden you with a sermon, because I think often about this. You might have a small chance of hearing a sermon or a message in your life that inspires you a little. But in my experience, when you see someone live a sermon, it really transforms the heart. In my experience, when someone walks the walk of the ideas that we share in community, it then becomes embodied in us collectively. And so what I'm going to do is invite David up here. I'm going to ask him to tell us a little bit about Minnesota and update, because we were all a big part of that. So welcome David up with a big round of applause. And we are going to sit on red velvet thrones, because we are powerful people. And so that means whatever we say, you have to listen to. David? Good luck with that chord.
I think I have just enough length.
Yeah, good luck singing when we're done. Okay, first of all, David, would you tell everybody your name and basics of who you are in Flagstaff? Sum yourself up in 30 seconds.
I will. Thank you so much just for having me up here, everybody. It's a privilege being able to share with you today. So yeah, my name is David Preeb. I've lived here in Flagstaff about 11 years now. I am a nurse at FMC. I'm a neighbor in the Sunnyside neighborhood. That's where I live. I'm a dad to this little one here in the front row. I gave Ember the option. I was like, Ember, would you like to sit in the service? Daddy's going to be up on stage. And at first she said, Dad, I hear you all the time, and you're pretty boring. And then I said, sometimes I get nervous when I'm up on stage. And she's like, oh, I do want to watch. And so here she is. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I've been a part of the Commons now for a year and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being here. And I know it is nerve-wracking to share, but I appreciate it. So I had a conversation with David that started with him calling me when he was in Mexico and just vacationing, living your best life ever.
Best life ever.
Can you just tell everybody here kind of what you told me on that phone call, what you were experiencing?
Yeah. So basically, I just said a little bit ago that I'm a nurse, but I just graduated from nursing school, and I had a little bit of time set aside just to basically rest and recharge. So I had 9 days where I was off of work, I was off of parenting responsibilities, and I was able just to book like a week's stay in Mexico, and I was pretty excited about that. Now that school was a little bit behind me though, I found that I had kind of just like extra space in my mind to kind of focus on things maybe beyond myself. Because yeah, the last few seasons of life, it's just been pretty inwardly focused, to be honest. And so I started watching the news for the first time in a while. And I kind of knew a little bit about what was happening in Minneapolis. But I began to just take it in a bit of a different way. And just had time to, just watch the videos of Renee Good losing her life, of Alex Preddy losing his, and it really impacted me. I had this time set aside in Mexico, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go forward with that. But I couldn't get this thought, I guess, out of my head, Charlie, that I might just be like heading in the wrong direction as I was driving south. So I began putting like a few things, I began putting some wheels into motion. So I have some friends that are in Minneapolis, and I began reaching out to them and just hearing some stories of like what was happening on the ground. I began to I feel like there's some things that were kind of put inside me in earlier seasons of life that began to kind of reemerge from the surface. Or to the surface. So I won't go into this in too much detail, but in my 20s, I was a part of like a Christian community that was living in the inner city of Vancouver, Canada. And we lived in the poorest neighborhood in all of Canada and the United States. It's called the Downtown East Side. And I lived with a Christian community. Every morning we'd wake up and we would say the Lord's Prayer together. Like, may your will be done. How does it go? On earth as it is in heaven. And then we'd go out and we would make friends with neighbors in our neighborhood, many of which were on the margins of society, and we opened up our home as a place of hospitality. So we were regularly inviting people in, and man, I guess you could call this community pretty radical. I mean, that's when I first learned that Jesus continually chose this path of like creative nonviolence. He never chose to be aggressive, he never chose to be passive, but was always able to be creatively nonviolent.
Yeah, but how many souls did you save?
I know. Yeah. Only Jesus knows. It's where I learned about civil disobedience and how some laws, when they're applied, can be unjust, and how sometimes the right thing to do is to disobey laws. It was in that environment where I first began, some of my friends were being arrested on the street. And I began just being present with them in the midst of that, filming police officers on the streets of the Downtown East Side, making sure that my friends' rights were being protected. And so all of that has kind of laid dormant, to be honest, during my time here in Flagstaff. But here I was in Mexico. I got a 90-minute massage one day when I was there. It was like amazing. And I also just thought like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here the whole time. And so, my friends in Minneapolis basically said, I reached out to them and said, would there be an invitation from you for me to come and just join in and just kind of be a part of what's happening there. Yeah, and they said yes. And so I sat with that for about a day, and then I booked a ticket, and I was excited. To be honest, there's a part of me that gets very energized by things like this, and there's also a part of me that's like, ooh, this could be heavy, and it was both of those things.
Well, you called me, and then that was probably on a Friday, I think, and then you booked your flights already and were off. But I remember when you called me, you said, I also like the way how you phrased that. You said, would there be an invitation for me to come? I'm going to use that in my life. I'm going to invite myself to things like that. But I think you did the same thing with this community, and I'm so glad you did. You basically were like, hey, is there any way that the Commons would sort of send me prayerfully, be thinking of me, be that I would be going on behalf of the Commons? And I was like, I doubt it. That's not really what we're about. No, it was a no-brainer. And when we shared with everyone, you're already flying to Minnesota, it was so cool to see the piece of community. Like, oh, you get to go kind of be our hands and feet. And now you're here to tell us what you saw.
Yeah. So when I arrived, my friends were actually hosting a gathering. And so I came in to basically 20 people kind of in their house. And it was like so Minnesota, guys. Like, they had a portion of their yard that they flood during the winter, and there were people just ice skating in their yard. I was like, this is so Minnesota. But yeah, I got to just meet some people that were doing some fascinating things, even in that first gathering. So I met some people that have a huge desire just to help their neighbors in practical ways. So many people, based on the presence of ice and just the strategies they were using, they did not feel safe to leave their homes. And so I met people that have basically raised $400,000 to help their neighbors be able to pay their rent. And so they helped 165 of their neighbors be able to pay their rent. And I just got to hear a little bit of that story. I got to hear about, a community of people. They were living just like 2 blocks from where I was. They're all a group of like 20-somethings. They all just work part-time, so they have extra time and energy to give to their neighborhood. And they basically were helping people get to work that might not feel safe going to work on their own, but they would feel safe if somebody was with them to offer a ride. I actually got to help in some of those rides while I was there, so I made a little Facebook post about this, trying to be funny. But I said yes to helping a woman get to work, and then I found out that her shift started at 3:30 in the morning. And so 2 of my days there, I had to get up super early. But it was great.
You could have been having a 90-minute massage on a beach.
Oh, man.
Poor choices.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
Well, I also liked when you told me that, because I think this is very human, and I related with it. You know, when you saw specifically Alex getting shot, he's a nurse. He's like you. He's somebody who was doing what you've done in Vancouver. He was trying to defend us. And so what was it like when you went to that memorial?
Yeah, it was a powerful spot. It was a powerful spot. I went there during the daytime and stayed about an hour, just kind of soaking it in. I'm a bit of a talker, and so I just started talking with some people around me. And there was one guy, he actually made the comment. He's like, a lot of these posters that you see here and things at the memorial, they talk about Alex being a hero. I was like, oh, where is he going to go with this? But he was like, you know what, Alex, he wasn't being a hero in that moment. He was just being a neighbor. He was standing up for somebody that was being oppressed in that moment, and he was being a neighbor. And unfortunately, he lost his life, and his body absorbed 10 bullets because of that. But just that reframing, where this person that was from Minneapolis just shared with me that he's like, we are a city of neighbors. He's like, none of us want to be heroes, but if one of us is being oppressed, there will be others there to stand beside them. And just a quick note on that too, I brought my whistle from Minneapolis. So one of the things that has proven to be very effective when ICE is maybe present in any neighborhood or when somebody is being actively detained, it's like, hey, let's just sound the alarm and kind of get people to be present, so that no one has to be standing alone, and that we can just ensure to the best of our ability that somebody's rights are being followed, are being observed. And so a whistle is the main tactic that is being deployed there. yeah, and thankfully the situation now has changed just in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But
Well, I was going to
yeah.
say, you were there for about 5 days,
Yeah.
and then ICE officially retreated about 2 days later. So I don't
Yeah.
want to interpret that too heavily, but it might have been you. You
Yeah.
might have been the difference maker.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I want to really ask you. So, especially in the context of this conversation, you went into a place where there was a lot of darkness and death, and I don't even know what it's like to be a Minnesota person. One, just a normal Minnesota person, wondering what happened to your state, whether you're African American or LGBTQ or white, it doesn't matter. Or if you're an immigrant in Minnesota, I have no idea what that feels like. But where did you see the hope of good news, something that was surprisingly in the midst of that darkness?
Yeah, I think the good news that I observed there, was just like the unity that I felt, and that no matter somebody's skin color or what their first language was or where they were born, there was a unity there that was powerful to like be there in the midst of that. I just heard people say again and again, and it would come up in different contexts that like we are a city of neighbors here in Minneapolis. Yeah, and we would die for each other. I met a guy that he would drop off his kids. He's bilingual. He's Mexican American. His kid goes to a bilingual daycare. Yeah, and that was one of the hot spots. The ICE would roam around. You know, the thought was like potentially as people were dropping off their kids at this bilingual daycare, that it'd be a spot that ICE would try to focus on. And so he would drop off his 2-year-old and then just be on patrol throughout the day. And I was like, what? I was like, you could just you could just stay at home with your 2-year-old. But he's like, but there's other parents that cannot do that. And so I'm gonna drop off my kid at the daycare and then spend 8 hours patrolling the neighborhood to make sure that everybody stays safe. And that's just like, that's good news to me. Like,
Did you see the church specifically doing anything there? Yeah.
I did, yeah. I was able to meet up with a friend of mine from college. His name's Jonathan, great guy, and he's very connected in with the church in Minneapolis. So I was able to go to a church that is a Hispanic congregation. The pastor there, Pastor Sergio, they have about 600 people that attend their church on a Sunday, and while ICE was present, they had about 80 people that were coming to church. And a number of those folks in their congregation, did not feel safe leaving their homes. So basically the church put up a link on their website saying, if anybody needs groceries delivered, sign up here. They were expecting 20 people to sign up, and within a day they had 2,000 people signing up. So this church had basically, I just made a Facebook post about this yesterday if anybody wants to see more, but they'd converted their church lobby and sanctuary into a distribution center. And so they had, when I was there 2 weeks ago, they had given out 28,000 boxes of food and helped 150,000 people in their neighborhood be able to eat because they didn't feel safe going out to the grocery store.
The other thing that really touched me that you were telling me about, or maybe it didn't touch me, I was more jealous, because I saw on Instagram, I think Brandy Carlisle, had a concert last night and had the Songs of Resistance singers from Minnesota come up on stage, and you got to see them, right? Yeah.
I did, So at the Alex Preddy Memorial one night, Songs of Resistance were there, just leading some amazing, just like peaceful and calming songs that really like linked everybody together. I think so many worship songs, connect us to God, which is great, but I think worship is, it takes on a whole different note when it connects us to each other. And so there were certain songs, I'm calling it worship, but of course it's not, but it is at the same time. But songs about how we are all one. Songs about how like everybody, we belong together. And just saying these simple lyrics in unison together was really powerful. So that went on for a little bit, and then there was a brass band that showed up called Brass Solidarity, and they were just like, that was so fun. One of the highlights of my whole time there, and we just sang like Stand By Me at the site where Alex had lost his life. Stand by me, when the night is dark, stand by me. I won't be afraid, stand by me. And it takes on a whole different meaning in that type of context. So,
To me, that's the mustard seed that's much bigger than we thought. You could minimize songs or music, or you can realize that art and human voices can change the world.
Yeah.
And to me, there's so many great liberation thinkers and philosophers who have taught us that when things are the darkest, whether it's Mr. Rogers or Gandhi or Dr. MLK, that you look for the music and the art and those that stand up, and you look for neighbors, and you got to see that. And you got to do that. Really, to me, what I'm really excited about, and I just want to thank you, is that you sort of had the freedom time, but more than that, the inspiration and courage to go do that sort of on behalf of all of us. And so it's a chance to just say thank you so much for doing that and sharing it with us.
Yeah, and thank you just for your encouragement and support. Like, church, thank you. Many of you were sending me texts. Many of you were reaching out through social media. I felt very much a part of this community as I was walking the streets there. And I know many of you would have liked to have been there, but couldn't for whatever reason. But I was able to say yes in this moment, and I just really loved being an extension of this community. I'm also very aware that, I didn't actually have a reason why I should say no, Charlie, in this situation when I received that invitation. I think at times we can use our privilege, if I can say that, to our advantage, right? And so I felt very confident walking the streets of Minneapolis when I have a skin color that works in my advantage. I speak the language. I speak a language that helps me. I have a passport in my pocket. I feel very confident knowing my rights. I feel very comfortable controlling my emotions in intense situations. And all of that was just I want to say yes to this, and I want to put my body there. So, is
there anybody here that didn't reach out in support that you'd like to call out? Just anybody you see out there that you're a little hurt didn't text you? I'm kidding. Hey, last thing I want to ask you before we share communion together as a practice is, how will it change you, or what would you say to us in Flagstaff? How can we take what you've learned and make that sermon a part of our life, to make the good news matter here in Flagstaff?
Oh man, we have to make it meaningful. Is that
you got 32 seconds. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I think about that word compassion, Charlie. You're a word guy, and so the calm means with. The passion is suffering, and so if we want to be people of compassion, where are we? What are those situations of suffering that we are able to enter just to be alongside people? And so, whatever that looks like in your context, I want to have my eyes open to that within my context of just what can I say yes to? What is that invitation that's being extended to me? Yeah, and then just being able to say yes and enter those spaces.
Well, thank you so much, David. And I hope that what you saw in Minnesota in neighborly love, which is straight out of what we resonate from the teachings of Jesus, and community, may that be true here, so that when darkness befalls us, we would lay down our lives for our neighbors, that we wouldn't be a type of gospel people who are trying to escape this reality, but we would be the most present and the most connected to each other. I want to invite you all to share communion with us. We celebrate an open communion table where everyone is welcome, and I hope that as we do this today, as we share this feast, anytime we have a conversation like this, it always feels so inspiring to me. But I think about all of our siblings in Minnesota and all over the border right now, that when we take communion, we are connecting to that idea that we all belong to each other. It's a shared feast, not just to connect our hearts to each other in this room, but to a much larger story that is so much bigger and better than we could have ever imagined. God's love is so much bigger than you could possibly comprehend, and we celebrate that at the communion table. I'll pray over these elements, and then as they share some music, we'll do this performance art together. God, I'm grateful for David and him representing all of us, his courage, his yes. God, may we be yes people, and we come to a communion table today remembering, like so many before us, the yes that you gave to nonviolence unto death, the yes that you gave to resistance and rootedness. And we're grateful that in the darkness of death, in the Lenten season and ashes, we are preparing our hearts that this small seed can become something really big in resurrection and new life and hope. Thank you for the reminder of that today, and may it be true in our lives as we leave here. Fill us with your Spirit. Thank you for the grace of bread and wine and community together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Summer days are just a magazine, a magazine, a magazine. Cutting grass for gasoline, so I can see you soon. Fall soon and left me stuck in a field, dandelion wine for you. And I packed up the dust of all that I own, handkerchief hung from a pole. I rolled out the day that the apples fell. We're going to sing one more song together, so again, feel free to stand if you'd like to. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one that could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever bring. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one that could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken. Oh, I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken. Oh, holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me.
Before we leave, I want to touch on a couple of announcements. One, I just want to really encourage you to tap into that app on your phone for a lot of tangible reasons. One, we do have already a community of people who are preparing for ICE situations. When we work with Northern Arizona Interfaith Council, we have groups on that app that you can sign up to get more information on. We have signal chat groups to be prepared and ready to go. We've already worked with, Olivia's done a lot of work with this building to make this a private, safe space to protect people knowing rights and make sure we are a ready neighborhood for when that day comes. There's already a lot of movement in Phoenix, a little bit up here. 2 Northern Arizona immigrant friends have died in custody in the last 6 months already. There's 70,000 detained people, including a lot of children who are getting measles and dying. There is a darkness in the world, and we want to be a part of that. This is one place where you can find something to do about it when we're overwhelmed with the darkness. So make sure you take advantage of that. We also have another opportunity to give to a family in need. Do you have that slide? Right here, we have a connection to a family through my wife, actually, who is and partner with a wonderful woman who is in a sobriety journey and crushing it and working really hard and pregnant and has another child and can't get any maternity leave. And our goal is to help this young family to have, basically create a maternity leave that they don't have to support this family in need. So if you scan that QR code right there, I think it goes to like a Giving Butter page or something if you feel like you want to donate to help towards that goal, or share that link with other people, because that's how we can show our love to those around us, is make sure that we're looking for those that are in need and we can be a church of support and love. If you want to continue to hang out tonight, I've had a request that we go to Lumberjack Pizza on Route 66 right downtown. If you want to keep the conversation going or just build community, we would love to invite you to do that. We always say that the holiest moment of church is when we leave and go be the hands and feet out in the community. So thank you, David, for sharing today. Thank all of you for being here. Thank you, Greta and John. I know you have FYC tonight and you're leading music, so I'm always touched by how much everyone does around here to make this whole thing work. Let me pray for us, and then we'll go be together. God, I'm grateful. The faces in this room give me hope in dark times. I'm thankful for the inspiration of what the community in Minnesota has done with art and singing and love and nonviolent sacrifice, even unto death. And God, I pray that somehow in this Lenten season of dark, we will cling to that seed of hope that good will somehow win the day. That somehow if we just keep loving and being present and showing up, we'll be a part of the real gospel, the real good news. Thank you for unconditional love and hope. In Jesus' name, amen.